talk first about how we met, I guess you could say. First time I saw you was when somebody posted a link on our subreddit of you sharing our video about HUGH MUNGUS during a lecture.
Yeah, in my personality class.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
that was pretty funny.
I saw that you had shared it, but I don't recall ever seeing your commentary about it. So I wanted to ask you, what did you think? What did you think about it?
Well, I was talking about ideological possession in the personality class and how it is that people participate in, well, acts of mass terror, you know, like those that occurred in Nazi Germany and also in the Soviet Union. And I thought that, and I'd watched the HUGH MUNGUS, what would you call it? Episode.
It's like a legacy.
It's the HUGH MUNGUS journey.
So
yeah,
he was
journey.
he was in the courtroom, and he came out, and this person came and asked him his name, and you know, he didn't know who she was, and he made this, you know, joke, and then she went completely crazy.
Yes.
and really tore a strip off him. And I thought, I mean, it was like she wasn't paying any attention to the actual reality of the situation. I mean, I think you went and interviewed him in the corner store where he worked, wasn't that
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, so he's this like working class guy. He's in a corner store. He doesn't know what the hell's going on. All of a sudden, this hyper intellectual radical feminist just jumps on him and just has a fit. It's like
Nobody's ready for that.
no, well, yeah.
No one's equipped.
Hardly
to deal with
anybody enjoys it either. That's a funny thing. And then I followed up what happened after that, you know, with your fundraiser, which I thought was really cool, and also with her sort of justification videos. And I used her as an example of someone who was basically possessed by ideology, you know, because as far as I was concerned, when I was watching her, there was almost no person there at all. There was just endless verbal outpourings of a formulaic view of the world, and she was willing to put this guy through hell. She never looked at him at all, not even once, really, to figure out who he was.
That's why I call it like the cult of outrage, because it does feel more like a cult.
Outrage.
People don't really of outrage because they're addicted to outrage, and they don't really think about if it's not rational. It's just they're possessed. I think that's a good analogy.
You get possessed by ideas. You know, there's this is something I learned really from Carl Jung, the psychoanalyst. You know, he said people don't have ideas. Ideas have people, and that's worth thinking about for about 5 years, because it's very frequently the case. You know, and she was on and on about oppression and empathy and all of these things, and I thought, when you looked at HUGH MUNGUS, you didn't see him as a person for even a second. You saw him as the manifestation of the patriarch or some damn thing.
Well, it's funny how she like devolved, because at first she's like, you're just a white oppressor, and then he's like, I'm actually Latino. She's like, oh, you're just a token Latino then. Like there was never any classification that would appease her.
Right.
He also tried reaching out and like having a real meeting to talk about what happened with her, and she wasn't interested.
Yeah, he tried to have lunch with the lady.
Yeah.
I didn't know that part of the story. I really liked your interview with him in the store. I thought what was one of the things that was so funny about that was how the light broke behind him. Well, that was so perfect. It was like, you know, you were doing this.
Saint Humongous.
Yeah, exactly. It was so funny. It really
he's
made
a great
me crack
guy.
up.
He's a lovable, he's a soul of the earth guy. Yeah. You know? And it's like, well, anyway. So that's great that you saw that video. That was so funny to me to see one of our videos being taught, if you will, in a lecture.
It was perfect.
That tickled me.
Yeah, well, you don't get to see that sort of real-time unfolding of that ideological possession. I also talk to my students in a different class about Pinocchio, you know, and before Pinocchio becomes a real human being, he's a puppet, and he's a marionette, and other people are pulling his strings constantly, and his head is wood, you know, and that's a little morality play about the fact that human beings are often controlled by forces beyond their personal understanding, especially if they haven't developed their character. And so I thought that she was a very good example of that, and about the blindness that it produces, you know, because she would have just had to look at him for beyond her perceptual blindness for 5 seconds to figure out that he was really not the oppressor that she was fighting. You know, I mean, far